It's time for null values, major topic in data analytics. You may have the question, what are null values? Null values are missing values in a data set. When properly stored, null values are represented as NaN. I think traditionally that stands for not a number. When improperly stored, null values may be represented as 0, the empty string, or none. None is actually permissible in some languages. But 0 and the empty string, well, those could be actual values. Frankly, they all could. Okay, so what do null values actually look like? Well, here is a sample data frame, and you can see that there is clearly an NaN value, and what that means is the price is unknown. It wasn't stored. It's also why you wouldn't want to put 0. In many cases, however, you're not going to be able to see the null values, right? I mean, if you have a data set of millions of rows, what are you going to look through it and try to find them by sight? No, we're going to use code. So one way is df.info. This reveals columns with null values. Another way is df.isNull.sum. This actually shows the null values per column. It's explicit. So we have a double method there. And here's a triple one, df.isNull.sum.sum. You're summing what's above it, and that means you are, in fact, getting the total number of null values. Okay, so how do we correct null values? Well, null values must be fixed to avoid errors. You can't just leave them. Sometimes they won't get in the way, but they often will. So what do? You can erase rows or columns that contain null values. Okay, this is a pro of getting rid of problematic data points, but also has a con of losing information. The idea here is that if you got null values, we'll just get rid of them. Okay, well, you can't get rid of an individual point. That's what a null value is. So it'd have to be the whole row or the whole column. Or you could replace null values with a measure of central tendency. This is a pro because it allows you to keep valuable information, say, in the other columns or rows. But the con is making assumptions about the data. Now, in practice, one of these is more common. Would you take a moment to see what do you think is a little more common? The most common is actually to replace null values with a measure of central tendency. And the reason why is because data is valuable. You may have a lot of valuable data in a row, and you don't necessarily want one null value to, I don't know, cause you to lose the rest of your data. So how, in fact, do we use Python to replace null values? Well, you may fix individual null values, full columns, or the whole data set as follows. Using the mean, which is the average, the median, which is the value in the middle, and the mode, which is the most common value. Also, it could be the value of your choice. Just to go back to this table, see, if you look at the price column, yeah, you could use the median or the mean, but look at the sold compared to the price. In this case, it may be, that on average, the price is like, say, 3,000 larger than the sold. And so maybe that's what you do in this case. And so you can replace it with your own value. Okay, so let's look at an actual example. Time for the Python. And what we're going to do is look at how to replace null values in a column with the median of the column. Okay, so this is using the whole column approach, which is often the one I like by default. I think what you'll find with data science in general and machine learning, there's no one size fits all. You need to make decisions based on the data that you have. Okay, so you get the column name df, call name, and then there's a dot fill in a method. Okay, so what that clearly means is you're filling, maybe it's not so clear, but you're filling the null values there. That's what NA is. Okay, and the question mark is there to indicate what are we going to fill them with. Well, in this case, it's the median. So we need to find code that's going to get the median of that column. Any ideas how to do that? Take a moment to think about it. And it's the column name, df col name, dot median. So there is in pandas a median method that will compute the median of a column very quickly too. Finally, there's one last piece that you actually need. It's in place equals true. Now, if you've never seen that, you're like, well, what is that? Well, what it does, see, if you look at the line above it, it's filling it, but it's not necessarily changing the original df. Okay, so if you want to change the original df, you need that in place equals true. Okay, with that in, then your df is going to be changed. Let's do it in Colab notebooks. Happy coding.